Hey everyone, Chris here. How are you all doing? Today I want to talk to you about markets. So, what is a market? A market is basically something that you can place a bet on, and there are different types of bets you can place, and therefore there are different markets. And the best way to probably explain it in detail is to show you examples on my screen. So, that's what I'm going to do here. I've got the odds matching software up here, and if I go to the filter, you can see that there are options to limit what are called the markets. Now, when you first start match betting with Profit Squirrel, what we do is we tell you to stick to the market that is known as match odds. That's because this is the easiest one to understand the concept of. So match odds basically just means you're betting on one team or the other team to win, or you're betting for a draw to happen. So you're actually just betting on the outcome of the game. And that's pretty easy to understand. But once you understand that concept, it's also important to understand that there are other markets out there that you can use. Firstly, because it gives you a lot more flexibility. If there's not a suitable match odds option, you can go for something else without worrying about it. And secondly, because some offers are only available on certain markets. For example, you quite often get football daily offers that are around the first goal scorer market. So therefore you need to know how to find these and how to match them off correctly. So let's just whiz through the common markets that you see on the odds matcher. So the first one, pretty self-explanatory. This is in horse racing. You're just betting on the winner of the event. Second one, match odds, as I mentioned. Also, you're just betting on the outcome of the football event. Who will win, who will lose, who will draw. Third one is correct score. And that's where you'd be betting on a specific outcome of the match. So you're saying, I think it's going to be 1-1, 2-2, 2-1, or whatever. The next football one down is over-under. This is where you're betting that there will be more or less than a certain number of goals in the game. It starts at more or less than 0.5 goals, which basically means that there is going to be some sort of goal scored during the game. If you're less than 0.5 goals, that means it was a 0-0 draw, and if you're more than 0.5 goals, it could be anything. It could just be 1-0, it could be 10-all. That's what that one means. Half-time, full-time. This is one I just want to bring a bit more attention to because it's one that people quite often get confused with. Half-time, full-time means that the team you're betting on must be in the lead at the end of the first half of the game and at the end of the second half of the game. Quite often people confuse this with the market to win both halves. Now, to win both halves is a market that is offered by most bookmakers on their sportsbook. I can give you an example of it here in a minute, but it's not something that we have on the odds matcher because it's not typically a very useful market for match betting. To win both halves means that you need to treat each half of the game like a mini game in itself. So for example, say England versus Panama, the football match, if we were betting on England to win both halves, that means that England need to score and be in front at the end of the first half and score and be in front at the end of the second half. So say England went up 1-0 in the first half, that would count as them winning the first half. But if the game carried on and it was only 1-0 still, then technically no goals would have been scored in the second half, so England wouldn't have won the second half. This is an important one just to be aware of because otherwise you can end up backing and laying on the wrong markets and losing both of those bets, which is not something you want to be doing. The first goal scorer market, that's simply who's going to score first in the game. Both to score is where you're betting that both teams will score a goal at some point during the match. And then there are markets in other sports. So all of these are basically just match odds markets. They're called different things because that's what they're called in those respective sports. But in all of these markets, you're basically betting on the final outcome, a win, a loss, or a draw. When you select one of these markets, for example, correct score, and you hit apply with the filter, you will see them coming up in the odds matcher. So here we have examples of correct score markets, and with the sports books that you go on the various bookmakers, for example, this England-Panama game with Coral, you'll see all the different markets at the top here. Match result, both teams to score, total goals, over under, 0.5 goals, 1.5, the first half result, half-time, full-time as we discussed, correct score as well. These are the same markets that you'll see on the odds matcher here, so you'll be able to go and match them up. And then correspondingly on the exchanges, you have all the markets laid out there as well. So here in Betfair, you can see we've got the match odds markets here. Many of the other popular markets below here, over, under, halftime, correct score. There are other tabs here, goals, halftime, where you can go into those markets in more detail. And I like how Betfair have on the left hand side here, they'll have a list of like all the possible markets that you can place matches on. All the other exchanges have very similar layouts. For example, the same England-Panama game on Smarkets here. You can see they call this market winner, but that's exactly the same as match odds because it's the win for England, the loss for England, or the draw. And then they have all the other markets below here, halftime, full-time, both teams to score, so on and so forth, and a few other fancy markets that, to be honest, you'll be really unlikely to use at any time when you're doing match betting, but they're there for other uses. So I really hope that's a good overview. Don't be put off when the odds matcher starts saying different things. You don't just have to stick with match odds once you understand the concepts. Any problems finding where you need to back a bet or lay a bet in the sportsbook or in the exchange, best way is probably to hit up the Facebook members group or hit up the forum, or you can drop us a line and we or some of the other members will help you find exactly where you need to place your two match bets. As always, please give this video a like and subscribe to Profit Squirrel, and I'll see you in another video very soon.